Ladies and gentle gamers, welcome back to Be Determined. Today we just got the Diana V2 update on the main server, so I'm going to be going over all the new things you can do with that before Diana gets elected, as well as all of the new stuff that you'll be able to do while she's elected. So without further ado, let's jump straight into it. So first off, if we do /recipes for Griffin, we can see that the upgrade stones have a new texture, and also there is a new Mythic Griffin upgrade stone. So for this upgrade, you will need Mythos fragments. So any upgrades that require Mythos fragments, we of course cannot get until the update drops, since these aren't obtainable except during the mythological ritual. So this upgrade will require a base Griffin upgrade stone, a bunch of enchanted ancient claws, some enchanted gold blocks, and some braided Griffin feathers, as well as those Mythos fragments. So this will be the most important thing for us late game players to get for this update. There are also the new spade upgrades. So there's the archaic spade, which is an upgraded version of the ancestral spade. Unfortunately, you also can't make this because it requires a hilt of revelations, which is a new drop, so can't make that one yet. There's also the Deific spade, which requires Mythos fragments and a hilt of revelations as well, so also can't make this. Both of these upgrades do go in museum, as well as the ancestral spade, so make sure to put your ancestral spade in museum. Gives 2 Skyblock XP, so not a ton, but something to do. There's also the new Anguish Talisman line. So starting off with the Anguish Talisman, you'll need 16 Plasma and 16 Sorrow to make it. It gives some True Defense and Magic Find. Then there's the Anguish Ring, which is the upgraded version. This one will require half a stack of Sorrow and Plasma on top of the Anguish Talisman. And then the Anguish Artifact requires a stack of each. So in total, you're going to need 112 of Sorrow and Plasma to make the entire Talisman line. This is a new Legendary Talisman as well, so you can recom it up to Mythic and put an enrichment on it to get up to 3.5 Magic Find from it. There is another new Talisman that you can grab over here on the Garden. If we head over to Philip and go to the Pest Hunter's Wares, we've already had the Pest Hunter system up to the Artifact, but they have now added the Pest Hunter Relic. So you can get the Pest Hunter Relic for the Pest Hunter Artifact and 200 pests. And this one gives 20 more bonus pest chance than the Artifact, and it's a Legendary Talisman as well, so can be recomped up to Mythic, which means that now you can get up to 1894 magical power. And as far as other things from the mythological update, you will be able to make a Hephaestus anvil, which again requires Mythos fragments and a bunch of other materials. You'll need some Zog anvils as well to make these. But these Hephaestus anvils can be used to make the Hephaestus version of any of the normal mythological drops that upgrade pets. So there's the Hephaestus remedies, which is going to require 3 antique remedies and that Hephaestus anvil. And the regular remedies give 80% more strength, and this one gives 100%. So it's pricey for that extra 20% more strength, but if you've got a G-Drag, it's probably worth it. There's also the upgraded souvenir, which gives 10 sea creature chance instead of 5, so it's doubled stats, which is really nice. All of these upgrades will require 3 of the base plus a Hephaestus anvil. So we're just going to go with that from now on. So you'll need 3 of the Minos relics to make the Hephaestus relic, which gives a 50% increase on all pet stats instead of 33%. So from what I've heard, this is actually better to use than a Quick Claw on a Scatha pet, because the 50% extra stats actually give more than the Quick Claw would. So at least for Scatha pets, this is the new best item. There's also the upgraded Shelmet, which Shelmets now give True Defense. So there's 10 True Defense on the base Shelmets, and the upgraded versions have 20 True Defense. They do also still give the immunity to knockback if you don't have the Shellwise attribute unlocked. There's also the Hephaestus Urn, which gives 10 pet luck, and the base urn from the new Cretan Bull will give 5 pet luck. So there are a bunch of new mythological mobs that have been added to the game. We'll go over those later. And then the Hephaestus plushie is the upgraded version of the Crochet plushie that gives some bonus attack speed. So let's go ahead and check out those mobs. If we go over to the mythological bestiary, there are 6 new bestiaries in here. There's the Cretan Bull, there is the Harpy, King Minos, the Manticore, Sphinx, and the Stranded Nymph. So I went over all of these in my video on the alpha. So there's also a couple shorts on the channel with the King Minos and Sphinx mobs, but I'm not going to spoil those if you don't want to see them and you want to see them for yourself whenever the actual event starts. But if you're interested in seeing what they look like, there is a short on the channel for each of these 2 guys. These are the new mobs. I believe the King Minos and Manticore, actually. These 2 are the new mobs for the Mythic Griffin. So the Cretan Bull and the Stranded Nymph both spawn from the uncommon Griffin pet and higher. The Harpy will spawn from the rare pet, and the Sphinx is from Legendary. They all have their own new drops, and you will notice now that each individual mob has its own specific drop. So instead of being able to drop everything, the Gaia construct can now only drop turtle shellmets, and it can drop it at each tier of Griffin pet that you unlock it at. So it is first unlocked at the rare tier, so you'll be able to drop the shellmets from this at rare tier. It's just going to be a lot rarer than it would be from a mythic pet. Minus champions can only drop minus relics. The minus hunters are the ones that drop the hilt of revelations that you'll need for those spade upgrades. There's the minus inquisitor, of course, who still drops chimera. The mythic version has a 1.25% chance to drop it instead of the legendary 1%. There's also, of course, Minotaur, which only drops daedalus sticks now, and the Siamese lynx, which only drops plushies. The Cretan bull here, which again spawns from the uncommon and higher, will drop the Cretan urn. The stranded nymph, which is also uncommon and higher, will drop washed up souvenirs. The sphinx will drop brain food, which is a new thing that you can find on Bazaar right now. Each one of these that you eat gives 5 skyblock experience and also one of the brand new tracking skill. This is basically the incarnation of Enderman level 9, which has been nerfed a little bit. Enderman level 9 used to give what would be the equivalent of 15 tracking. It now only gives 5. But you can get tracking from other sources such as brain food and the new Sphinx shard, which you can go ahead and fuse to make. You'll also be able to get it from hunting the mobs whenever the event starts, but if you want to go ahead and have an advantage when the event starts, you can go ahead and fuse for these. So to get these guys, you'll need 32 to max out the Sphinx shard. To get them, you can craft them with ghost shards and shellwise shards. You'll need quite a bit to fully max it out, but it is a little RNG based depending on if you're reptile procs, but you can also use the Sphinx shard to fuse up to the King Minos shard. If you just use the Sphinx with like Azure shards or literally any other shard, you can use that to make the King Minos shard. So it's not too crazy expensive. It's still up there, but it does increase your coin gain from Griffin Burrows by 10%, which is nice. There's also the Cretan Bull shard. The way to get this one is from Shellwise and Miner zombies. So these guys right here, Miner zombie shards, you fuse those with Shellwise to get the Cretan Bull shard. And there is also the Minotaur shard right now, which I believe the only way to fuse for is by fusing geckos with chameleons to be able to get your hands on this. You might be able to do it with withers, but I'm not completely certain about that. And either way, it's just really expensive. So I'm planning on waiting until the event comes out and hunting the Minotaur shards myself instead of fusing for them, because it'll just be way cheaper that way. There have also been a few nerfs to some items from the Mythological event. So you can see here, this is my Daedalus blade, and it now copies only the combat stats of whatever pet you're using. So it no longer copies the magic find at its base. It still gives extra damage and magic find on mythological mobs per bestiary tier, but again, that's only magic find against mythological mob. So if you put chimera on it, it's still going to copy the magic find. Chimera hasn't been changed at all, but Daedalus on its own will no longer copy the magic find of whatever pet you use. So it's no longer going to be the magic find meta outside of mythological ritual. There have also been changes to the Crown of Avarice. If you have one of these, it will now make mobs deal more damage to you, but you gain 5 times the coins from Griffin Burrows and mythological mobs, and that is now going to be the only way to get coins on this helmet is from the mythological event. But the amount of damage that it gives and the amount of magic find that it gives towards mythological mobs is increased a lot. This is different from the first time it was on alpha. The damage will now apply to other mobs, so you can do the extra damage to literally any mob in the game. It doesn't have to be mythological, but the magic find will now only apply to the mythological mobs. There are also a few new crafts involving the mythological side of things. There is the new Daedalus Notes Reforged Stone, which can be applied to the spades that will allow your Griffin Burrow chains to consist of 2 additional burrows. So very nice there. To craft it, you will need a Daedalus stick and some Mythos fragments, as well as some paper, griffin feathers, and enchanted ancient claws. There's also some other upgrades that you can get from the new mythological mobs. The Fateful Stingers from the Manticore, and it upgrades your Venomous to Venomous 7. Somehow people already got their hands on them. I'm not sure how this happened, but it will upgrade your Venomous level to 7. There's also the brand new Golden Fleece, which requires the Shimmering Wool drop, which is a very rare drop from the King Minos boss. It also requires a bunch of enchanted items as well, but this is going to be the best way to get tracking on Griffin Burrows. It also grants magic find on mythological mobs, so really nice cloak. But you will notice it is a cloak, so it will have to be there in place of your David's cloak. There's also the new Manticore Claw, which is a pair of gloves that copies 10% of your active pet's combat stats, and gives a bunch of random combat stats as well. It requires the Manticore, which is the really rare drop from the Manticore, who only spawns at the Mythic Griffin level. It will require a ton of enchanted ancient claws and some enchanted golden blocks on top of that. Both of these items do go in museum. There's also a couple new sets that you can make now. First off, there's the Challenger set. So there is the equipment setup as well as the armor set. It's not too expensive and it does go in museum, so I'll probably end up making this right after this video is recorded. And then there is the Mythos armor, which is the upgraded version. It requires Mythos fragments though. This set is alright. It will grant double stats while in the hub during Diana's mythical ritual, and it does reduce damage taken from mythological mobs, so it's not bad for that. However, Crimson armor is still going to do a lot more damage, and it will give a good magic find against mythological mobs, but most of the time you're just going to be better off swapping to Sorrow on the really rare mobs that drop really good stuff, so it's better off to do that. You can also now go ahead and sell any drops that you get to NPC. So Antique Remedies actually sells to NPC for 250k. Same thing goes for Dwarf Turtle Shellments, Crochet Plushies. All those sell to NPC now for like 250k. So that's why the price increases happen so much on these. However, the price on Chimera has dropped a bit. It is now down to about 80 mil instead of the 125 mil that I'm used to personally. So that's a lot nicer. And they have also changed the Future Calories talisman. Instead of giving fishing wisdom, it now gives tracking. So that will help you find more of the elusive mobs such as Inquisitors, Sphinxes, all of the really rare mobs from the ritual. That's the main stuff for the mythological side of the update. There's also some other things we'll go over, but I'll probably make a more in-depth guide on the mythological event once the Diana event actually starts, and I can actually show how the bosses work and everything, so stay tuned for that. But let's talk about the rest of the update. If we go and head over to the dungeon hub, you will notice it is a bit different looking. Kudra can now be accessed here where the sand dungeon used to be, so sand dungeon is kind of gone now. You can also go over to Vulcan right here and access the Crimson Essence shop from right here as well. But yeah, you can just go ahead and access the Kudra boss fight from right here. And then also you will notice over here Croesus has his new section, and Croesus will now work on Kudra runs on top of Kata runs. So he will keep the chest from Kudra and Catacombs runs. He can only hold 60 runs worth of chest though, so again, make sure to keep an eye on this. He will now discard them as well after 3 days instead of only 2 days. I believe it was only 2 days before. I might be making that up, but 3 days now. That's all that matters. And if you do still want to do the Kudra runs from in the Crimson Isle, you will now notice that there is a new section here for Kudra, and there is this new NPC Vesuvius. He's basically just going to be Croesus. So if you do runs from here, then you can access also your Catacombs runs and Kudra run chests right here. Also, at the moment, you can see we do have Diana Minister. She does only have the Sharing is Caring perk, but if we go into the election room, she does currently have her mythological ritual, so she will be elected soon. And she does also have a new perk, Huntress Intuition. She has lost the extra pet luck perk. That is gone now, but she can have extra tracking to help you find even rarer mobs while her ritual is going on. Editor 2B here. The patch notes just dropped with a tease at the greenhouse update, which is going to be a big update for the garden. I've already talked about this a few times, but it's coming out before the year ends with major changes to farming tools, crop and visitor milestones, and a new farming currency letting you invest in and upgrade farming chips that strengthen your garden. So this is one of those chips, the synthesis chip. Analyzing a mutation in the crop analyzer gives 1% more copper per chip level, which sounds really complicated since we don't really know a ton of what this is about. We know copper, we don't know what crop analyzer is, or we know what mutations are kind of from previous patch notes about the greenhouse, but it just seems like it's going to be some cool new systems for the garden. Rather than being one big grind, this update is designed to make farming progress unfold more naturally with meaningful upgrades waiting at every step. And we also get to see Galatia's second island, the Taurus Canyon. We get a little look at this. It is currently early in development. It is planned for next year. I'm doubting it's going to be super early next year, but hopefully it's out before summer. Again, that's just me saying that. That's not the admin saying it, so take it with a grain of salt. But we get a new picture of the second foraging island. So make sure to vote for Diana and make sure to subscribe. We're closing in on 30,000 subs. I'm trying to get there by the end of the year, and every single subscription helps me so much. Again, I will try to have a new video out soon for the mythological ritual. I'll make a guide for it once the full ritual is actually available to everyone. But for now, that's going to be all. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Once patch notes drop, they should be in the description or in the pinned comment, so make sure to check out for that. But I will catch you in the next one. Have an amazing rest of your day, and God bless.